This is Eldritch Song of Seraphim, and I'm here with another cube draft. Alright, so I'm in pack 1. Pick 1, and these are the cards I'm currently working with. The most impressive card to me, well, I guess there are a few choices that I like. There's Chroma Angel of Wrath, who really would be good in like a reanimate deck, so like Zombify would go well with that. But there's also Wormcoil Engine and Swords to Plowshares, both solid cards. So white and black really are the main colors here. I prefer at this point to remain uncommitted and just go ahead and take this Wormcoil Engine, which is probably one of the strongest cards in the pack anyway, and also keep me from overcommitting to a single color. So that's the pick here. Alright, so pick 2. Few interesting cards. So every time, land tax. Alright, so choices here. There is, let's see, I can go ahead, I think here I'm going to have to commit to a color. So really, it comes down to black, so like Diabolic Edict or Go for the Throat. Both are pretty sweet cards. There's also Land Tax, which I do consider a very high pick, and there's also Hero of Oxid Ridge. I like Oxid Ridge. I like staying out of black and white now that kind of the pretty good cards in that color have been passed, and I like cutting off red. There's still Lightning Helix, and I could probably take that later, perhaps. That usually goes kind of late, but I like cutting off red here. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Hero of Oxid Ridge. Also a very strong card by itself. Alright. Jeez. Look at this. Reanimate's looking pretty good. But let's see what else is in here. There's Wards of War for red. Not that impressive. Kami is pretty sweet. Stigma Lasher is decent. But not the best. Everything else here is a bit mediocre. At this point, I think I actually just want to go ahead and take Exhume. That's a really strong card, and who knows, Reanimate might not go so well for everybody else. Though red-black Reanimate's not exactly that powerful, but then again, we've only taken one red card at this point. I'm going to go ahead and try it. I don't think it'll work, but what can you do? Ooh, okay. So, choices here. There's Oona, which is just an awesome, awesome bomb. And there's Kargan, which is just sweet. I think I'm going to go ahead and, actually, I think if I was just going to pick the best card in the pack, I would go for the Oona, Queen of the Fae. Without a doubt, probably the most awesome card in the cube. I love that card. But here, I do want to take Kargan Dragonlord just because it goes with red. I do like Oxid Ridge, there's no doubt about that. I just would like to go ahead and, like I said, cut off red, take Kargan Dragonlord, pass, maybe get back Bloodbraid, possibly, if I can play. I think red-green would be a solid archetype to play in. So here we're passing a few more awesome black cards. That's okay. Do have the red-black option here, the Blood Crypt. But I guess in terms of really good red cards, there is decent reds in here. Ravenous Baboon's not quite an awesome pick because there aren't that many non-basics. I think there in the cube there are only 15 non-basics, so it's not going to be that applicable most of the time. So really it comes down to me between taking some black removal like a Doomblade, or taking like this Ember Holler or a Durgar Hedge Mage. I do like the Hedge Mage, I also like the Ember Holler. I think though I guess it's between the Hedge Mage and the Doomblade for me here. So it's a bit difficult. They're both sort of forms of removal. I think it'd be safer though just to go ahead and take this Hedge Mage. Though it seems odd that a removal like this is going on so late. Interesting. Might as well cut off red. Just take that. Alright, well, so it's reasonably good news that a Fireball's still here. So it's possible that green might also be open because you do have the Vigilant, Harrow, and this dual land here. I'm kind of surprised that Mirror Entity has gone so late. That's a sick card. It's a very sick card. But I think can't pass up a Fireball. That's just awesome. good removal, and they can just win you the game. Okay. So I'm not really that impressed by Squee, but it is a red card. I don't see myself playing necessarily. I don't know. I guess I haven't really committed to a second color yet, so I could take Imperial Seal or Dread Return. I have passed, though, Doomblades, lots of other reanimate type spells. It just seems like it'd be better to go ahead and take, I don't know, Fact or Fiction, possibly Morphling, or even Squee, I suppose. But, I guess I can go ahead and try for the reanimate strategy, but I don't think it's going to work. So this is a rather interesting pack. Could take Pillage, but I'm not really into... I guess Pillage is still a reasonable card, and I wouldn't mind taking it. I don't really want to go into white at this point, even though that Archon of Justice or Exalted Angel are both sweet. Skull Cage... Actually, I think I might take Skull Cage. That is a very solid card, and it might go well with this kind of a semi-aggressive deck. Alright. So here, I am perfectly fine with taking a Skirk Marauder. Though that said, the Zern Orb I'm a bit worried about because we did see the land tax get passed around. And possibly, I'll go ahead and take that. Because if I get land tax, no, never mind. So someone already took the land tax, that was fine. If they hadn't taken it, then I could have Zern Orb plus land tax is a pretty sweet combo. Alright, so here, I guess Lightning Helix is reasonable. Even though if we're going to go black, might as well take a Fume Spitter, I suppose. But I don't think red-black is necessarily a good archetype to get into. That's for sure. Alright, so here I'm going to go ahead and take the Hearthgami. I just think that's a pretty solid card. Though, because I have the option of taking one of these green cards, but green seems to have been cut off pretty hard. Might as well get red while we've got it. This is looking a bit awkward. That said, Chameleon Colossus is sweet, and so is Masked Admirer, so maybe green is not quite as cut off as I would have thought. So Chameleon Colossus is definitely the pick there. Here, might as well take the Baboon. You never know when you might be playing against somebody that has maybe a 3-color deck that'll really get hurt by some land destruction on their maybe Rav duels or Alara dual lands. Because currently the cube has the full 10 set of the Ravnica dual lands and the 5, I guess you wouldn't call them duels, but the lands from the Alara set. I guess I like Evolution Charm over Trusty Machete. But then again, I think it might be good to pick up the Machete because you do have a lot of kind of weakish creatures here that'll be better served by... They can get powered up by some kind of equipment to make them more worthwhile. So just a bit of background for this cube draft. We do have a full 8-person cube draft going on here, so we're going to have the full complement of players, and it should be quite interesting when we get to the matches and to see what everybody comes up with. Right, well, and speaking of Alara duels, here is Seaside Citadel. Unfortunately not applicable to our deck. Alright, so here is the next pack. Look at this. So the card that... Well, cards that I like, first of all. Reanimate's sweet. Yavimaya Elder is sweet. Fertilid is awesome. But I think the pick here is probably Sarkenvol. I'm not exactly... I mean, I've only got, what, the one green card, Chameleon Colossus, but I still like the combination of green and red better than these other colors. And hopefully I can get back one of these green cards, preferably Yavimaya Elder. I would still like Fertilid to come back as well. But I like the Elder would be the optimal choice. So either one of those coming back would be pretty awesome. But Circuit Ball is just a card you can't really pass up. Alright, so quite a few interesting cards in here. So you've basically got Mere Battlesphere, Demon Fire possibly, Masticore, maybe even Stormbind. Stormbind seems interesting. I'll give it that. Not sure how high I'm gonna. I mean, I'm probably not gonna pick that this pick. I think probably the pick here is Demon Fire. Mere Battlesphere is awesome. There's no doubt about that. But I just don't feel like this deck needs more big bombs like that. It's kind of high on the curve. It's a tough one. I guess the Battlesphere can't hurt. I'm gonna go ahead and grab it, I suppose. Alright. So, a few interesting cards. In terms of this deck, there is basically Woodfall Primus, Triskelion, and Great Stable Stag are the cards that we would want to play in here. And here, I'm actually more inclined to just go ahead and take Sable Stag, just because I think unless someone's really heavy green, Woodfall Primus has a chance to wheel, and Sable Stag just in general I think is more playable. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the Sable Stag and hopefully wheel the Primus or the Triskelion. Alright, so this deck this pack that is, has a few interesting cards. I don't know, I guess I'm really jealous that people are playing black. I mean, you've got Kokosho, Shadow Mage, Ren Flesh, but red's got some sweet cards in here. There's, I guess, Forkball, Mechanic Hammer. There's also this Acidic Slime. I think in terms of cards that I would like to cut, I would kind of want to cut green here. I think I'd rather take an Acidic Slime over, say, a Forked Ball or a Hammer, actually, just because this one has a bit more power, I would think. Which is a thing that's a bit strange to say when typically you take that cheap removal over almost anything, but in this kind of format, I think being able to kill artifacts, enchantments, and land is pretty strong, considering the quality of the artifacts and enchantments that are running around here. Alright, so there is Arashi, the Sky Asunder, which is a green card. Is pretty solid. There's also this Thelanite Hermit, which is pretty good. There's also a Plated Geopede. Geopede's strong. I don't think, though, I want to necessarily take that over like a Thelanite Hermit. I think the Arashi will probably wheel. So I feel pretty safe just going and grabbing this Hermit and maybe giving either an Arashi or a Plated Geopede back, potentially. So that's the pick. Ooh, okay. So, Terastodon is green, but not actually one of the cards you want to be playing in this type of deck. Typically, Terastodon is more of a reanimate target. I could potentially play like 3 colors, black, red, and green. So basically, I could play Jund colors. And it might be reasonable here because there are some pretty good... I do have Exhume, and I do have Dread Return, both really decent cards. So it wouldn't be that hard to splash them, and it would allow me to play either Vulturous Zombie or Terastodon, potentially Terastodon as sort of a reanimate target. I think though, here it's just between really Vulturous Zombie and Molten Tail Masticore. I think I feel safer obviously taking this Masticore, but I think Vulturous Zombie would actually be a pretty good pick. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that, and we're going to decide to, I guess, splash black. Ooh, okay. So, not really an aggressive deck. I don't like playing those kind of decks, so it means Blistering Firecat really is not the card I want to be playing here. So really, to me, it's between basically Sylvan Library and I guess Austin and Baloth. And here, Sylvan Library is an awesome, awesome card. So I played it for the first time the previous cube, not one that I recorded actually, but turns out it's a very, very powerful card. And now that I know how to play it, I'll be able to keep myself from accidentally losing 8 life by clicking both of the cards. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Sylvan Library and go with that. Alright, so far the deck doesn't look too aggressive, really. For that reason, I think I'd rather just grab up this Wall of Blossoms, just because for the card advantage and just to act as a wall. And really, there's not that much else in this deck we want to play. I said we were going to splash black, but I don't think splashing for a Sign in Blood or a Liliana Spectre is necessarily a good plan here. Alright. So this is a very strange pack. Both of the green cards wheeled, which is awesome, but also Reanimate wheeled. Now that said, I'm still probably going to go ahead and take Yavimaya Elder, just because it'll make my mana base more secure and I'll actually be able to play, for instance, the Dread Return and the Exhume here. So I think that'll be a safer pick than grabbing up Reanimate. Alright, so here I actually don't mind taking Stormbind. Stormbind is just a way to help me get cards from my hand into the graveyard in case I do want to use the Exhume. And that's actually a solid game plan, and I think more reasonable than taking, for instance, like Helen Vandal or some kind of land destruction here. So Stormbind is the pick. Okay, so this is pretty irrelevant. I don't need the Sacred Foundry or any of these cards, really. The card I'm probably going to take here is Phyrexian Arena. I'm not going to play it more than likely, but it is a very powerful card, and I'm honestly surprised that it went this late. So I'm going to take that card up. I'm honestly wondering what people are playing here. Shadow Mage Infiltrator should not be going this late. Man, I can't play 4 colors. That'd be ridiculous. So here, it's between Hellspark Elemental and Fireslinger. Fireslinger seems good, or it seems reasonable at least. But I still think I'd prefer to have this Hellspark because I can get in there fast, and plus if I end up having to discard it, I can bring it back for at least one more turn there. Alright, so we do have some decent artifacts, so because of that, I'll just go ahead and hate this Core Sanctifier. The other 2 cards really aren't that relevant. Okay, Jackal Pup is fine. I probably won't play it, but at least I have it. And Mind Stone is a reasonable card. Alright, so last pack. Okay. So looking at what we've got, we have some removal in the form of a Flesh Bag, which we could potentially splash for. There's also some white, though I don't think I want to play a 4th color. There's also a Vest, which is a bit too much for this deck. The card I'm really actually considering here is Kitchen Finks. That might seem strange, but I just feel like it's a very powerful utility creature. Gain at least 4 life off of it. So actually, I think I'm gonna go ahead and take that. It just seems like a safer pick than either of these. And the cards I don't mind getting back. I wouldn't mind getting back River Boa or a Starstorm. I don't think the Flesh Bag and the Vest are gone. The Spectre probably will be gone by the time I get it back too, but who knows what's gonna happen. I don't think I'd take the Spectre at any rate, but at least it's good enough. I think it'll probably be picked up early. Okay. So there actually are a few pretty interesting cards. There's Troll Ascetic, which I do like quite a bit. Very hard to kill. It's also Consuming Vapors, which is a reasonable card to splash for. There's also Kodama of the North Tree. think my picks here really come down to Kodama and Troll Aesthetic. Both of them are very powerful cards. And I actually think I prefer to play Kodama, just because it's a very, I don't know, it's a heavy green commitment, and there are a few like heavy red cards, like Kargan Dragonlord especially. But for the most part, I think I'd be perfectly fine just going and playing the Kodama of the North Tree. I think that's probably a stronger card than Troll Aesthetic. Okay. So actually there are good cards in this pack. So cards that I like. I like the Indrik Stomp Howler, I like the Siege Gang, and I like Plow Under. They're all the same mana cost, so not really any choice to make there. Also Banefire, I suppose, but I'm not really going into that kind of direct damage. I already have Fireball, even though Banefire obviously is a better Fireball, in my opinion, it's because typically with Fireball you're using it to do direct damage to one creature or to a player. And if you're doing that, being able to make it uncounterable is a lot more secure. But here I think you can't pass up the Siege Gang Commander. That's just a powerful card. Alright. Ooh, man, lots of good green in this pack. So, yes. I do kind of want Kodama's Reach, but then again, Thornling is just awesome. This is kind of tough. I think I'm going to go ahead and take a Thornling, just because it's such a powerful card. Even though Kodama's Reach would make the deck more consistent, it would help us ramp up some of these bigger creatures. I just like Thornling a lot. I want to give him a shot. Alright, so here's what we've got. Isochron Scepter is pretty sweet, no doubt about that. Aftershock is good. I wonder just if for consistency's sake I want to take a Savage Land here. I'm not sure whether that card will come back or not. So what do we have in terms of 2 costs? Like, we really don't have that much, really. Exhume, yeah, so Isochron Scepter's out. So really, it comes down to, I think, like Grounded War Gear or Aftershock. I think that that could use some more removal, so I'm going to go ahead and take Aftershock and hopefully wield that Savage Lands. Ooh, Revelark is awesome. But let's see. We have the choice of an Albino Troll or a Mire Boa. And I guess there's even a Wild Mongrel here. Wild Mongrel actually might be the pick, just because it will let me discard cards. For instance, if I could use, like, set up an Exhume or a Dread Return. I think that's a reasonable card to pick here. Plus, it's a low drop, which is nice. So, there's lots of interesting blue cards here. Tezzeret the Seeker, Future Sight. But I think here I'm just going to grab a Burst Lightning for some more removal and pass this War of the Worm on. Alright, and I guess while I'm in the spirit of it, I can just keep on snatching up removal spells, so Chain Lightning looks pretty sick here. Alright, so back to first pack. Let's go ahead and take River Boa. Move on. Alright, so we've pretty much got, I guess I would call it one choice. I mean, I guess the only card here that I would like to take would be like Gemhide Sliver. Don't have enough black for Nantucket Shade. Pentide Prism's not that great of a spell, in my opinion. Mirari's Wake is sweet, but not our color, so Gemhide Sliver is really the only card here for us. Alright, so either one of these cards, Indrik Stomp Howler or Plow Under, would be solid. I think I just feel safer going more for the kind of removal and taking the Stomp Howler, even though Plow Under can be some serious tempo advantage. We do have a few ways to ramp, but I feel like I'd rather just go ahead and take a removal, unless somebody else do the plowing. Alright, so this one's fairly simple. The only card we can actually play here is Cloud Thresher. And Cloud Thresher is not typically a card that I main deck, though it would come in handy if we do play some kind of flyer deck. But yeah, I don't mind taking it. And also, just for a, what is it, 6-drop, a 7/7 with Flash and Reach is pretty awesome for a 6-drop. Or, yeah, good card. Alright, so here, once again, we have two options, Grafted Warrior and War Elves. Elves is nice for the ramp. Grafted Warrior is pretty sweet, because like I said, with kind of our other cards, the thing about Grafted Warrior, at least, is that we do have some subpar cards. For instance, Gemhide Sliver, maybe even Riverboa, Elder. I mean, there's just a few cards in here that would benefit from the addition of equipment. And I think I'd rather have a way to make my kind of weaker creatures actually relevant later on. Let's go ahead and take the Warrior over the ramp. I'm not sure. I mean, I think it's a close pick because I don't really have any 1-drops. So for that reason, it might be the better play to just go ahead and take the Llanowar. That's interesting, actually. Yeah, I guess I just think that maybe having a more consistent curve is better than the Grafted Warrior, but this is a hard one for me, so I'm not sure what the right pick is here, but I'll go ahead and take that. Alright, Goblin Patrol is reasonable, and it's too bad I didn't get back the Savage Lands. But anyway, there is the deck, and I'm going to be taking it into Magic Online, and we'll be playing some cube matches with the other 7 people that are cubing with us, so I will see you there. Alright, so